I'm Paul Heckingbottom and you're listening to the Reds Report on Barnsley Player HD.
And as you heard right there, you are listening to the Reds Report on Barnsley Player HD, episode 14 this week for you, everybody. A point gained last week for Barnsley against high-flying Huddersfield in the Yorkshire derby. Not at their technical best, Barnsley, but at their gritty best to grind out a much-needed point with Paul Heckingbottom watching from the stands. Adam Hamill came on and showed his class with a great cross and Marley Watkins there to finish. And Barnsley in the end could have won it, Huddersfield could have won it, but it was a fantastic game. We'll pick over the bones of that this week. We'll also speak to ex-Red Brian Howard in the Legends Suite this week. He's been dealing with Wayne Shaw, and Piegate may just come up on the show this week as well. And also we're talking to Angus McDonald. We'll preview the weekend's game at Derby. We'll review the Huddersfield game with Angus MacDonald, and we'll also hear about why he's hopping on a bike from London to Paris. You listen to the Reds Report with myself, Chris Mason, and Carlo van der Wateren.
I'm Ryan Kent, and you're listening to the Reds Report on Barnsley Player HD.
And now it's time to welcome in my partner in crime, Carlo van der Wateren. Carlo, afternoon, mate, and welcome to the Reds Report.
Afternoon, Chris. How are we doing? Episode 14 already.
Episode 14 already, and a jam-packed show as always for everybody listening. Carlo, we said there in the opening there, a point gained against Huddersfield. Looking back on the game, that honestly, I think is a fair reflection, wouldn't you say?
I think so. I think Aki said it a few times. It's the results that count. Might have not been pretty. Maybe technically we weren't at our best, but it's moments like this where you dig out a result, and that point combined with the results midweek where we didn't play. But for instance, Derby lost to Blackburn means that we've cemented that 10th position and we're looking up rather than looking behind us. So ideally at home you're thinking, you're going for 3 points. Huddersfield are playing really well. I don't know if they maybe had an eye on the Manchester City match.
Certainly not with the team it picked
at
City.
But you know what? It's another point. 50 mark is what we wanted. Hopefully a bit of pressure off the lads now, and we should be looking now at whoever is in 7 and 8 and try and catch them up, rather than looking behind us thinking we're going to slide down the table.
I look at how the team set up Saturday, and we came to the press area before the game and saw one of the lads, and 4-4-2. I mean, I saw the team and I said, 4-5-1 then. No, 4-4-2, Mo at wide right, Watkins up top. What's the thinking behind that start? I know it only lasted 10 minutes, and then Watkins went wide right. We went 4-5-1 again, but we're not going to get to see the best of Alex Mowat, are we, in those type of situations?
Yeah, it's I think we all see him as a very good creative centre midfielder that can move forward and score goals from a distance. And I think, to be fair, I mean, I've never seen him play on the right wing. I think Marley Watkins is a hard act to follow on that wing because of his work rate, because of the chances that he creates. And so I don't know what the reason behind it was. I don't know if he wanted both Mowat and Watkins to play, and maybe and obviously James and Josh Scowen being back as well, and he wanted to accommodate all of them. And I don't know, but like you said, it was short lived when we sort of then changed and Watkins dropped back and Adam Armstrong was on top on his own.
What was a surprise for myself at the weekend was against Huddersfield, the very high tempo. That wasn't the surprise. The surprise was that it's something that we're used to doing ourselves. We couldn't cope with it. The passing of Huddersfield was crisp, it was quick, it was interchanging, it was one side then it was the other. Their right full-back was more right winger first half. We said amongst ourselves that he's had an easy ride defensive-wise, their right full-back. He was up in our half a lot of the game. Then he got booked, and that curbed him a little bit, but we couldn't deal with it.
No.
And that created a lot of problems where Huddersfield were able to get balls into the box, create aggro around the box, get free kicks in and around, and then obviously they got a corner, and the frustrating thing was the cross comes in for a lad who's quite tall, the old Efele. He can't jump, and that's coming from a Huddersfield fan I spoke to at work in the week. He can't jump, he didn't even have to jump to win the ball, and he nodded home. When you work on set pieces in training, how frustrating will that goal have been?
Yeah, well, there's 2 points there, isn't it? There's the first point of, I think we are very good in imposing our play on other teams and dominate, but I think when that's the other way around, it's when a little bit of panic starts in and we start getting sloppy's not the word, but we start maybe not marking the players as well, and the other side will then create the opportunities.
The guilty chasing the ball then, Carlo, a little bit.
We just look less organised when another team is imposing themselves on us, and it seems a little bit like a lot of energy with not many outputs. Then, I don't want to criticise, of course I don't, but a corner from a goal from a set piece, that's the one that you should always be able to avoid. I remember in the first game Mowat played, we conceded twice, didn't we, from a set piece. And, surely you should know who's marking who and stick with your man. And for somebody to have a free header in the area, you need to then re-examine it. You need to do an autopsy on what went wrong, because that can't happen again. Those sorts of goals are too easy to give away, and that's not what we want.
We got to half time 1-0 down. I think that was a lifeline. I think on Saturday, getting into the break, just the one goal down, Huddersfield were causing copious amount of problems. Second half, Huddersfield came out again and they were causing trouble, and people, obviously I was on Twitter at the weekend and I said the changes, the substitutes that came on changed the game, to which we got a reply on our Twitter feed at BFC Reds Report was, you mean switching to 4-4-2? And the reply I gave was no. Yes, the formation changed, but it was the personnel that came on. A reinvigorated Adam Hamill and Tom Bradshaw, who was making the ball stick. Yes, it went 4-4-2, but I think it was the personnel that came on.
I don't think it was
just
the
added a
formation.
different. No, the dynamic changed.
And I think it's the people that changed the game, whichever formation we might have started to play in. I think Adam Hamill, I completely agree. That's almost like, you can imagine being right back or a left back from an opposing team. You're at Oakwell, there's 20 minutes or 25 minutes or whatever, and then you've
done an hour's hour graft and he comes on.
Yeah, and then you think, oh God, Hamill's coming on. And whilst some of that, what he used to, who's down the wing, stepping inside and curling, it might happen. That little bit of interplay down the wing with him then putting the ball in.
He got himself a yard, didn't he? Because at the minute he hasn't got that yard of pace to go past a man, has he?
No. And that quick interplay allowed him to sort of turn and
that bit of quality came in.
Exactly.
One thing we looked to with Huddersfield is that they're very rigorous, and the game plan was Barnsley get a free kick. The line of Huddersfield was so high, they never dropped into the 18-yard box. So when I said that the personnel changed it, when Adam came on, he was delivering the balls quicker into the box, because the crosses were coming in quicker. The crosses were coming in from the byline. When it was a free kick, it was going short. Then it was coming in, because credit to Huddersfield, because I tell you something, the discipline is so high to be able to say, look, we're going to stand here and we ain't moving.
Yeah.
No matter how deep you want to push us, we ain't moving. And I would fair say, and we'll probably, if somebody picks us up on it, they will do. But I don't think Huddersfield dropped into their 18-yard box unless it was a corner. And that's superb discipline from the visitors. But in the end, that's how we got around it. Nice little bit of interchange. Got the man who's got that quality, a quick yard into the box and goal. The worrying thing for me is Ryan Kent took a lot of stick. Wasn't at his best Saturday. He didn't seem to be able to get at Huddersfield enough. Possibly should have had a penalty in the first half, but the change could have probably come at half time for me.
Yeah, I think just picking up on the Ryan Kent bit, Ryan Kent's not the finished product. He's here to get better. He's here to learn his trade. I think the pedigree is there. I think with him being a young lad, he's probably, if it's not working for him, maybe some of that productivity can drop off a bit, or his head can drop a bit. But for people saying, he should be doing this, he should be doing that, the lad's 19. Yeah, he's a very young lad. He's not our player. He's Liverpool's player. We're giving him some game time to learn the tools of his trade. His pace is blistering.
It is.
That's great. It's about having an end product. That doesn't mean he has to go past 6 people and score a screamer. That could be maybe just having that pace and linking up with a Bradshaw or an Armstrong and feeding the ball in.
I don't think people are overly critical, if I'm honest. I just think that Saturday wasn't his finest.
I completely agree with you regarding the Huddersfield, and that to me is sort of like, and I don't want to typecast. That's very much that European German mentality of no, this is what we're doing, and you don't veer away from that. He's got a few. He had a Dutch player there, a few German players there. There's a good little mix. Very hard unit to beat, I know Man City proved us wrong in midweek in the FA Cup, but in this division, definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Certainly are a force to be reckoned with, but I do think your top two are set now in the Championship. But we're not here to talk about them anyway, but that's just beside the point. We look at it, the midfield, Josh Scout, very much cards close to his chest from Hecky in the press conference. When I was asked about it, "Oh, you told me you weren't playing before the game," somebody said to me, and I said, "Well, we were surprised to see A, Josh Scowen back in, and B, and again not a slant on George Moncur, he's quickly back onto the substitutes bench. Josh has come in, Alex Mowa's come in, and George Moncur on the bench at the weekend."
Yeah, I think there might be a side of Moncur's match that needs to improve. He went out on loan. His head wasn't maybe in the right place. We play a completely different style of football to Peterborough. Hackey since said in a press conference, he'll get his chance. He's in there. He's in the squad. It's up to him to prove. I don't want to big the guy up, but I think, especially in the Yorkshire Derby, you need a Josh Scowen, don't you? You need somebody with a lot of, not just energy and running around, but blocking, feeding balls into our area, getting the ball, grabbing hold of it and putting other people into play. And that is what Josh is so good at. Together with Matty James, formed a really good partnership before the injury. And I think the Mowat was, he's got a bit of pedigree. He's got some quality, hasn't he? I think it was just a case of, I want to be able to play all three, hence maybe, the change of, not formation, but the personnel and putting them out on the right.
Yeah, not a criticism of Alex Mowatt, but I think the game passed him by the weekend as well. He wasn't involved much in it. Yeah, and we called the changes, actually. We said he's going to bring X off and Y off, and then he did it. And,
It was, and I think part of that, maybe, he was ineffective, if you can use that word, and I think a bit had to do with where he initially was. And we had three very, the 4-5-1, it's not always for us, isn't it? You need to have the personnel to suit that.
You certainly
style.
And Matty James, he was a yard ahead of his teammates on Saturday, and sometimes you could see the frustration, because you can just see now as he's getting his fitness back, he's showing a real quality, and he wants to do well for the side. He said it in the presser yesterday that he wants to pay back the faith from Barnsley, what they're showing him, getting him in on loan, and I'm very impressed with him on Saturday. If it wasn't for Davo's saves, which we'll get on to, man of the match on Saturday against Huddersfield.
Completely. And I think ideally, and I'm sure that's what Hackey's looking at, is you need 2 or 3 Matty Jameses, and I don't mean that person in that position, but the intelligence, the quickness of thought, and the
quality,
maybe the pedigree as well, and not being afraid, to go forward, and he's slotted in really well, hasn't he? He's come in, and I think if you go around Oakwell on a match day, I think there's nobody really that I've heard say yet, because there is characters on match day that say, why is Dave in goal, or why are we playing Scowen, or but I've not heard anybody give a bad word about Matty James yet, and they shouldn't, because he's
Rolls Royce, I called him at the weekend, and I think he's been a Rolls Royce in the middle of that midfield for Barnsley.
Yeah, you could say he's a Rolls Royce in a team of Mercedes or BMW, so there is some quality there. It's just a bit of a notch above, and it suited us both. It suited him because he needed game time, and it suits us because we could use somebody of that calibre. And it's a little bit like the almost like the Danny Drinkwater when he came to Barnsley. You could just see that he had.
Oh yeah. You certainly could. And we finish up on the Huddersfield game, because obviously I said in the intro it was a well-earned point, a much-needed point, but if it wasn't for Stretch Roberts on the line, and you'll have seen the save from Davo as well. He saved it and then he caught it after. Fantastic save there, but a couple of blocks on the line from Mark Roberts. If he did it 99 times again out of 100, he'd probably score.
Yeah.
But that once, unbelievable from Mark Roberts, and in the end, earned the point for Barnsley, I think.
Absolutely. As a captain, he stepped up to that role, hasn't he? Mm-hmm. And he puts his body on the line. He's a very likeable lad, and you would guess, captain or not, one of the first names on the team, because he's just reliable throughout.
Finish up on Huddersfield then, Carlo. Happy with the point in the end, because it could, in the end, a point that we gained and possibly didn't really deserve on the balance of the chances Huddersfield had.
I completely agree. Hackey will always come out and say we deserve this, but I think if you've been there, you look back, that's a good chance, that's a good chance. I think it's a point gained, definitely.
Up next on the Red Report, we'll be speaking to Angus MacDonald on his charity bike ride from London to Paris.
My name's Ryan Hedges, and you're listening to the Red Report on Barnsley. My name's Ryan Hedges, and you're listening to the Reds Report on Barnsley Player HD.
The Reds Report, and joining us now on the phone is Red Centre defender Angus McDonald. Angus, good afternoon and welcome to the Reds Report.
Hi there, you okay?
Yeah, doing well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate, not too bad, thank you.
Good. Well, we'll ask you, we say, how are you? It's obviously a rigorous game at the weekend against Huddersfield last week. How did you feel the game went in the end?
It was a tale of two halves, I think. First half, I think we sat back and let them have a lot of the possession, and we were a bit sloppy on the possession on our own. But second half, it felt more like a derby. We got stuck into it. We got a goal back, and we really took it to our own, and we could have pushed on to win it.
We seem to have gone back to sort of like just Saturday games at the moment. Does that make it easier having 5 days to 5 sort of days to prepare for a specific game and really get the tactics bottomed out and not having the disturbance of having to play on a Tuesday night as well?
I think tactically wise, yes, but it's always good, say, if you don't get a positive result on a Saturday, then you haven't got long to turn around on a Tuesday night. But go Saturday to Saturday, it gives you more time to recover, and then, like you said, it gives the manager a bit more time to really set the seed of the tactics for the next Saturday.
Do you feel that we were guilty of showing Huddersfield a little bit too much respect in the first half, Angus, if that's a fair comment to make?
Maybe a little bit in the first half. Second half, you could see a massive difference. But first half, we were sloppy in possession, and we sat off them, and that's not what we actually wanted. Sometimes you can have a game plan and you can work on things during the week, and then with the first half an hour of the game, it just goes out the window. But yeah, we turned it around in the second half, and we certainly put a foot in the second half.
It was the game where Hecky obviously set out his punishment, or whatever you want to call it, up in the upper tier of the West Stand. As a player in a match like that, does it make a difference whether he's on the bench, or obviously Jamie Clapham was there to sort of hand out any of the instructions? So did it make a difference for you as a player not having Hecky on the sideline?
Yes and no. Obviously, you always know the manager's there, just there, right on the pitch. Whether you do something wrong or whether he needs to tell you some information. But you look at within the first 5-10 minutes of the game, that kind of goes out the window. Whether your manager's there, whether your family's there, this, that, and the other, that kind of goes out the window. And you just concentrate on playing and doing your job on the pitch.
Derby County away on Saturday, Angus. 2,000 Reds fans already snapped up tickets for that one. What sort of game are you expecting against Steve McLaren's side? Obviously, they lost in midweek. They're a bit hit and miss, and they concede a lot of goals at home. So it's a game you'll be really looking forward to, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think we've got to take our game plan there, and from minute one, impede ourselves on there. But it'd be a fast tempo game, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of action at both ends. So both teams have got to be on top. Both teams want to obviously take them 3 points home.
Before we start talking about your charity efforts, a large group of Barnsley fans walking to the match and setting off. Well, today is Friday, yeah, to get there in time for kick-off. A lot of them will be listening as they're walking through South Yorkshire towards Derbyshire. Any words of encouragement for them as they're making their way to Derby?
Yeah, keep going, and make sure you're there for kick-off to support us on. It's a great thing that you're doing, so keep up the good work.
That's excellent, Angus. So obviously this is the community part of the show. We try and do it every week, pick up a community story. Obviously you're doing a charity bike ride. Do you want to tell everybody about that, Angus, and ways that they can help out with donations, etc.?
Yeah, so obviously I'm doing a type prize for Epilepsy Research UK, which my sister has suffered from for the past 6 or 7 years. Me and friend Tom are actually cycling from Paris to London on the 1st of June. All donations will go to the charity Epilepsy Research UK to raise awareness and help with their charity. There's a link on my Twitter and on my Instagram, I believe, for the Just Giving page. So yeah, if you'd like to just donate as little as much as you want, every little helps. So that'd be great, thank you.
Yeah.
Is it just you and yourself, or is it a group of riders that for various strategies, or is this just you and your mate for Epilepsy Research UK?
No, it was generally just me and my friend Tom Anderson, who has never rode in his life, so he's going to have a sore bum. But so no, it's just going to be in Tom, and we're going to have a support car that someone has actually very nicely volunteered to be throughout the ride, with all our spare wheels and a few other bits and bobs, food and clothing and stuff. So no, it's literally just me and my friend Tom.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Well, from a personal point of view, having a sister that suffered with epilepsy for 48 years. I think sometimes there's all the charities are good charities. Let's put that out first and foremost. But I think sometimes people forget about these really debilitating sort of conditions, such as epilepsy, which have a huge effect on the people and their family as well. So from me to you, nothing but the best of success, not only for the rest of the season, but for that momentous ride as well. How long do you reckon it'll take you?
We're hoping to do it 2.5 days. Hopefully Tom doesn't fall off the bike or anything like that. We don't have any hiccups. So yeah, 2.5 days I'm hoping.
Excellent. Angus, cheers for joining us on the Reds Report this week. Good luck with that bike ride in June. Good luck at Derby tomorrow, and good luck for the rest of the season. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you later on.
Cheers, Angus.
Cheers, mate.
The calls just keep coming on the Reds Report. Joining us next on the line is ex-Red and now turned agent, Brian Howard.
I'm Angus. I'm Angus. I'm Angus MacDonald, and you're listening to the Reds Report on Barnsley Player HD.
Episode 14 on Barnsley Player HD. Joining us now on the line is ex-Reds midfielder turned agent Brian Howard. Brian, good afternoon and welcome to the Reds Report.
Afternoon. Thanks for having us. Hope you guys are well.
We're doing all right, Brian.
Yeah. So far, so good. Obviously, with you being an agent, you're still sort of like involved in the game. You keeping an eye on the Barnsley results, and what's your thoughts on how they're doing so far this season?
Yeah, keep a big eye on it. To be fair, I've got an interest in some of the younger players there. Sort of look after younger 23 players like Jarrod Bird and Jacob Brown, who've obviously been involved in the first team this year. So. I've got an interest, and obviously everyone knows that I still love the club from the time that I had there. So Hecky was my roommate and neighbour, so it's great to see him do so well as well.
It certainly is. They've got Derby away at the weekend, Brian. Tomorrow, obviously. Hit and miss Derby. We spoke to Angus MacDonald just prior to speaking to yourself, and they concede a lot of goals at home, and they're not the finished article themselves, Derby. So it'll be a game that Barnsley can get really stuck into, won't it?
They're not, and I think they're still in transition from the three managers they've had. That they've got a mixture of players from the three managers, and I don't think Steve McLaren knows his best side yet. They're very chop and change, and obviously got beat at midweek by Blackburn, so they'll be probably changing their team again. So you're not even sure which side you'll be facing.
No, you certainly won't be. Obviously, we know you're an agent nowadays, Brian. I spoke to you earlier in the week. You've been dealing with Piegate, haven't you, with Wayne Shaw? What exactly have you been dealing with Wayne?
Yeah, so obviously Piegate, national news, front page news. Wayne's is a good friend. I've known him for about 15 years. Lives locally to myself. He jokingly said to me on the week build-up, "Bro, I think I need an agent." He is just a joker. So I said, "Oh, yeah, well, I'll get a banter, sure, yeah, good one." And then obviously it all kicked off, and he called me and was like, "Seriously, bro, I think I need someone. I'm in a hotel with a newspaper, and they want to do this, they want to do that." This is after his sacking. So I had to drive down and spend the day with him trying to help him get out of the mess he found himself in.
Now, obviously, we've had the joy of having you in one of our charity nights earlier in this year. Just talk about why specifically you've chose to become a football agent, because I find that really refreshing. If you can just let the listeners know.
Just so that the younger players especially get the right advice. Obviously, I had a couple of agents over my career. Some good, some bad advice. But sort of paid out a lot of money for stuff that I probably could have done myself. So I just want to make sure the players get the right career advice and not go somewhere just for the money. Go somewhere that's going to help progress their career, because the modern game is now the money's already there. So if they concentrate on football, they'll be well paid, no matter what level they're at now.
Brian, before you came to Barnsley, obviously you were at Swindon Town. How did that move come about to Barnsley for yourself?
Well, Swindon, we used to get paid by cheque. So this is obviously we cut back. So you'd get paid late, and then the cheque would take 5 days to clear. But you'd get paid on a Friday, so that you wouldn't be able to pay it in until the weekend, and that sort of scenario. And then the money sort of dried up, and all of the bigger players or better players were told that you wouldn't be getting the same contracts. So obviously contract ran out, and Andy Ritchie, and at the time made contact with my agent. I came up and sat and met Andy, met Rick,
met the team, looked around the club, and loved what it was all about. The ambition was to get promoted. We probably didn't expect to get promoted in the first year. It was kind of a 2-year plan. That's what's on a 2-year contract. And then it just came about from there.
So, a little Brian Howard growing up. What was your earliest footballing memory? So that could be a game that you went to or a game that you saw on TV. What is your earliest football memory?
Earliest football memory is probably the 1990 World Cup. And my dad was Scottish, and obviously I was born in England and my mum was English, so double interest that for Scotland and England. So watching both teams and that, and Scotland do what they always do, and got knocked out early, so that was disappointing. And then became sort of the English supporter, and then had the drama of Gazza's tears and the penalty shootout. And that's my real earliest memory of it, and that's kind of I remember sort of falling in love with the game.
I think many of us did as well. To be perfectly honest with you with that, Brian. Obviously, aside from the obvious moments like the Liverpool game, etc., what was your favourite moment as a Barnsley player aside from the obvious?
Obviously, there's the Liverpool moment, which you said about the promotion at Cardiff. I think the whole sort of aura, we were underdogs throughout the season, and no one expected us to be there. And then to go to Cardiff, and the whole atmosphere of you come down the streets, all the fans on the side of the streets. You get there and the roof was closed. The place was packed out. The fans were immense. It was really just a special atmosphere with that bunch of players. I think I've spoken to it before. Any other player in that squad has probably said that you'll never get a bunch of players that were that close. It really was our team. Of course, we had some good players, but it was our team spirit, and it was fight for each other that kind of got us that promotion. And then the bus journey back up to town, and the night out after, and all that, and then it's kind of special memories that that most of the players never got again.
And throughout the season, is there a particular game that stands out? It might be a goal that you've scored, or just something that happened in that game. Is there a specific game for you that stands out besides obviously the Liverpool one and Wembley?
Probably not me scoring, but probably the away game at Huddersfield. We didn't turn up for the first game, and I think that the Player of the Year do was probably about 5 days before, and we were told we weren't allowed to have a cheeky drink. Now we got into the room and there was drinks everywhere, so a few of the boys had a cheeky drink, and we got we got a hammering from the management team. He said you better just turn up and play well, and we didn't. And after the game, we got hammered again by the management team. I said, you let all yourselves down, you let everyone down. So we got together as a group and we're like, look, we took the mickey a bit there, we shouldn't have done that. We've got to go away to Huddersfield now and turn a result. So to go then, and the way the game went with it topsy-turvy, going in front, then probably Steve McPhail's only mistake of the season, the only time we gave the ball away, they scored. And you kind of like, oh no, we've outdone the hard work. And then to get the winner and just the celebrations after, I think we got in a bit of trouble because we smashed the away dressing room up a little bit with a bit of over celebrating. So that night was certainly a special night.
It doesn't matter. They smashed our concourse up last Saturday, so it ties in really, doesn't it? So, Brian, what was it like for you being captain of Barnsley and leading the side out at Wembley in that semi-final?
I think this one word is proud. I captained youth sides when I was at Southampton growing up, and I captained the England under 20 side for a bit, captained the same sort of reserve teams, but then it was the first time I was given captain's armband of the first team, a team of men. That's be given, I think I was 23 the first time I was given the armband, so reasonably young age. But some say it was just a real proud moment, and I think the first time I got given it was at home to Birmingham. And at the time we were going for promotion and just come down from the Premier League. I remember running out to my dad trying to signal him that I was wearing the armband, and he couldn't work out what I was trying to say. And we beat them 1-0. And it was a real proud moment that I felt I was captain, and the team put their heart on the line that day for myself and everyone because I was captain. So I think, and then to go on to captain the team to the result at Anfield, result against Chelsea, captain lead the team out at Wembley. It was just probably one of the proudest times in my career.
The Liverpool game, I remember watching Sky Sports, and Matt Le Tissier actually mentioned you, obviously the Southampton connection, and saying keep an eye for Brian Howard, and then obviously as you scored, Not that he likes publicity, but I did tell you about Brian Howard. So yeah, just your time as a Barnsley player. If we ask you who was the best player that you've played with, what would you say?
I think I said it before with you guys on the charity night. I think it's a strange one. He was goalkeeper, and after that FA Cup run, we had Steely as well. But I think before him, Heinz Müller.
Yeah.
I thought Heinz was outstanding. I think he was getting linked with Arsenal, getting linked with everyone before he done his knee, and he was exceptional that year. And probably the best keeper that I played with. And I was lucky to play with some good ones. And I think if he didn't get the injury in his knee at the time he did, I don't think he ever recovered. I think the fans saw that. I think he would admit that as well. So luckily, I don't think he ever recovered to the goalkeeper he was, but he would have gone on and had a career at very top level.
Yeah. He certainly would. He was a fantastic goalkeeper. Brian, if you can have more than 3 words, but if you can do it, could you put your time at Barnsley into 3 words?
Eventful, proud, as we said, and career defining.
Fantastic. Now, there's a lot of families that listen to this show. We were told earlier today, I mean, people from all over the world, Reds fans are listening. So, bearing in mind the public that you've got, there is some under 16s. Have you got any funny stories that you can tell us about your time at Barnsley? I mean, some of the things that you and the lads might have got up to.
I'm not sure there's many that have
We've had that answered a few times as well.
yeah. And that's what, I think if you ask any player from those sort of 2-3 years that I was there, it would probably be a similar answer. I don't know. There's probably one that probably tell, but I don't think it would be too offensive. I think someone might have actually probably told you before, but we might have had a cheeky night out or two in our time there, and there was one time that the boys got in a taxi before myself, and we all lived on the same cul-de-sac, people know, and I'm coming round in a taxi, and I think it might have been with Tongy or someone like that, coming back to mine, and there was Reedy, Andy Kay, Ozzy, a couple of the neighbours, all with their shirts off doing press-ups on Essie's front lawn. And there was a couple of police cars. So the taxi man was like, "Do you know these guys?" And we were like, "No, keep driving." And I think the policeman said to the guys at Portley, "What are you guys doing here?" And then one of the neighbours started saying, "I'm sorry, I live down the road," which is a bit of a joke. And then apparently the other policeman turned around and went, "Well, I know you 3 whatsoever's are. I watch you every Saturday." And so it's kind of a good story that should be able to play for younger audiences.
Certainly does. And then we've had Neil Austin with his walking out with an ironing board in the nude as well after the playoffs. He says he couldn't remember 2 days after that. And when you won promotion.
Yeah, that was from my house, and we couldn't find him. And we found him in Anthony Kay's either his daughter's playhouse or the dog's house in the back garden.
Fantastic. Great memories, Brian. Absolutely great memories. Now we've got you on the line. You can get a bit of your own back here.
Yeah,
you've had some hammer off of Darren Hazel. We had in studio as well.
Yeah.
Darren's Reedy, Reedy, Daniel Nardiello, Tongy, Paul Hayes. They've all had the fair say. So
it's time for you now.
It's time for you now. Who was the worst dressed during your time at the club?
I'm gonna have to say it, and he's gonna kill me. So I've got to call him tomorrow about a few things. But Bobby had the worst gear, and I think there was a big rumour that he looked after the kitty on one Christmas night out, and all of a sudden, but the lads spent a fortune on all the drinks and everything. It was like, well, where's the kitty gone? And the next week he turned up in brand new white Timberlands, white leather jacket. Terrible. We think we paid for that outfit.
During your time, who had the worst hairstyle? Now, Bobby was mentioned in this.
Answer that, yeah.
Bobby, he got some hammer off for Hazel last week, to be fair.
Yeah, mine was much better, so I'm not going to say too much on that.
Who was the biggest joker, Brian, if you could pick one out of that pack?
Obviously out of that pack, but like, the biggest joker that I played with and at Barnsley was Rob Coslook.
Yeah.
But he was a funny guy. And even when I left and went to another club, I'm not going to say it on this podcast, but and he played for them as well. They all had stories about him as well. And there was a story one time when he was at that club, he nicked Derek Dooley's spare leg, team coach. And, he was that sort of character that would just do anything for a laugh. I think Curly ODJ had him in the showers one day, shooting him with a a pellet gun because he'd said some things he shouldn't have said.
Brilliant.
So he was probably the biggest joker, yeah.
Now this is the one where your name has come up a few times. We're sorry to announce. We've asked the lads, your name's come up. This is your chance now. Brian Howard, during your time at Barnsley FC, who really was the biggest diva?
Describe diva.
Oh,
Well,
I'll tell you why your name came up with Darren Hayes, because you had your teeth done, and every time you come up to Barnsley you have your teeth done, and just things like that. Just very
people who like to look after themselves. Some
Very-
people
yes.
I've mentioned Martin Devaney for his
Yeah.
potions and lotions and his designer stubble, and
Yeah. I'd agree with the lads and say it was either me or Davis.
there you go.
Very good.
Takes a very,
Excellent.
very strong man to admit it himself, doesn't it? That's fantastic.
Yeah. It must be true if all they were saying it.
It's not always true. Easy target, maybe, Brian. Easy target, I think.
No, it's that me and Davis come up north from down south and just put a bit of southern style up to northerners.
And it was needed, wasn't it?
It certainly wasn't he? They said they'd never seen a body on a man like Devaney. He loved his six pack, didn't he? They got some hammer for that as well, did Davers, but
He did come in like a chiselled Iceman, to be fair.
he did. Worked hard, but you all worked hard, you played hard. You were a joy to watch at Barnsley, and you were an absolute pleasure to speak to on the podcast, Brian. Cheers for joining us this week.
Cheers. Thanks for having us, guys, anytime.
All the best, Brian.
Cheers,
Thanks
Brian.
a lot, Brian. Ta-ra.
Bye.
Ta-da.
Coming up next on the Reds Report, we're going to induct two more ex-Reds into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We'll give you his thoughts on the up-and-coming game at Derby County.
My name's Callum Elder and you're listening to the Reds Report on Barnsley HD.
Play HD.
My name's Callum Elder and you're listening to the Reds Report on Barnsley Player HD.
We're back on the Reds Report, and from one diva to another now. Brian Howard. Carlo, who's your inductee into the Reds Report Hall of Fame this week?
Sorry, let me just put this cream on, hold on.
Hang on, he's just trimming his beard. No, new feature on the show, Hall of Fame. Last week we inducted Luke Steele and Dave Watson. Great responses on Instagram. We put everybody who we induct into the Hall of Fame, by the way, I will put individual photos up of said person on Instagram so you can keep checking it out yourselves, and hopefully it might get a piece in the programme one of the weeks, you never know.
Yeah, if somebody from the media team listens, it's a really good feature, isn't it?
Certainly is, and people like to talk about it on the old Twitter as well, at BFC Reds Report on Twitter. Do you want to go first this week, or shall I go first?
Just to clarify, are we looking at a defender?
No, you can, anybody, there's that many. You can
Ooh.
put in anybody who you want.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll go back. I'll stick with a defender because that's what I've been thinking about in the week, and I have to put it out there now. When we put it on Twitter the other day, lots of people giving lots of different names, and that's fantastic. And whoever I choose doesn't mean that's the right decision, because for you it might be somebody else. I started watching Barnsley sort of like 93, 94.
So you've got plenty,
onwards.
by the way.
So
You've got
there
a
is
lot of
some there,
scope.
but some people mention players that are before my time. So it's not a right or a wrong. It's just during my time as a fan. So if we go defensively, I have to put in Nicky Eden. I have to put in Nicky Eden for the reasons of it's that
local boy.
Yeah, local boy, and I think sometimes when we've spoken to Darren Barnard, when we spoke to some of the other players in that era, very much an underrated player. Very much, he wasn't like a big name, but he produced week in, he produced week out. He's since gone on to make his name in sort of like coaching and set up a system, and he was at Rotherham for a while before that debacle, and then he lost his job and everything else. But for purely what he achieved and the status he got with the club, and as a local boy, which I know I'm not local, like literally, but I have lived here for seemed like quite some time now. I said Dave Watson as a keeper, so I will put Nicky Eden in, and he'll be my nomination for the Hall of Fame.
Fantastic.
Me singing.
We're falling off a cliff. Sound like falling off the cliffs of Broadchurch there. This week I'm going to put in obvious choice due to what happened over Christmas in the new year. My nomination, my inductee this week's Norman Remington. Norman, deserving. There's no other. You don't need to dress it up.
No.
At the club, so many years, done everything from make the tea to cut the grass to tell certain individuals who are not here anymore to keep banging them in. He wasn't afraid of telling people when they did wrong. He wasn't afraid of telling people when they did right. And a lot of the people we've spoken to over the last few weeks had nothing but good words to say about Mr. Barnsley FC. So my inductee this week, along with Nick Eden, Dave Watson and Luke Steele into the Barnsley FC Hall of Fame. He's got his own wing, Norman Remington.
I completely, utterly agree, and I think what sets us apart from some of these other clubs, and you know what, they might throw millions at him and then it turns out they're still millions in debt, and they might think the bigger clubs in Barnsley, there's no other club in the country that had a Norman Remington, and I think that says so much about us as a club. So absolutely well-deserved nomination this week, Chris.
To inductees into the Barnsley FC Red Report Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Norman Remington and Nick Eden. Right, Carlo, quickly, Derby County tomorrow away, Pride Park. Lost 4-3 at home to Cardiff after being, was it 2-0 up, then 2 apiece, 3-2 up, 3 apiece, lost 4-3 with a penalty, 3-0 down at home to Bristol City, drew 3 apiece, lost midweek to Blackburn. Are we going to walk into a backlash here at Derby County, or are we just going to go and do what we need to do?
I think it depends how you look at it, whether your glass is half full or half empty. Mine's always half full. So I'll say, if there's one thing we've learned from all that, is that, you know, they concede goals, and you know, maybe not many. We've got people that can score those goals. I think for us, it's very much forcing ourselves upon them from the first whistle. We basically, and I know I don't want to keep having to refer to it, Chris, we have to do a Huddersfield on them from the first moment. Is we have to try and dictate the match, the pace, not give them any space, because if there's one thing we know with these so-called big clubs, if they go a goal down, all those people dressed there in white following their team, they'll quickly get on their back, because it's not been a smooth journey for them.
What about your adopted Dutchman, Steve? What do you know? Steve, Champions League.
Yeah.
Do you think he's not had the impact that they maybe thought he would have done going in there?
The only thing I find really strange with Steve is he doesn't seem to have a settled team. You know, whereas for Hecky or for other managers say, well, you know, there's a framework of players and maybe some changes around, and he seems to swap and change depending on the results. You know, we've obviously got the Barnsley or ex-Barnsley FC connection with Jacob Butterfield, whether he'll be playing or not.
The Jacob Butterfield derby.
It is the Jacob Butterfield.
The Jason
derby.
Shackle derby.
Yeah, let's not mention him.
But hey, it's all there,
but it is, and I think going back, so Steve McLaren as a manager, I'm not fearing. I think he had a really good year when he was at FC20, and Holland did really, really well. Then soon started not doing anything at all.
Then put a Dutch accent on.
Yeah,
press
that's like
conference.
me trying to talk Barnsley, isn't it?
You do it very well, mate. Anybody would think it.
But I think there's 3 points up for grabs for absolute sure. There's worse. There's a lot of worse teams to play than Derby right now. Backlash, maybe, but I think playing them at home, we can go. Is it 4 undefeated away?
Yeah, I think if I'm honest with you, I know we've spoke at length. Ecky's not bothered where the points come from. We like to see him win at home, but if I'm honest with you, we're pretty bloody good away from home. Actually,
I think so, and that's been a change to previous years, where sometimes we've been woeful away and all right at home. It seems to have changed a little bit, but maybe at home we get the draws
and we pick up wins when we need to, but away from home we've been exemplary. I think we're 4th in the table for points picked up away from home.
Exactly. So and looking on that note and looking at what Derby are doing, I think 3 points are up for grab, and I'm definitely backing the Barnsley win.
Quickly before we shoot off, 4-4-2 for yourself though.
Listen, if I had Ecky's job, I would go 4-4-2, because I think that's where we're at our most complete, if you know what I mean. We've got 2 different types of strikers, and for me it would be, and I would start with maybe to switch it up. You could start with maybe Adam Hamill and Watkins on the wing, and then
Well, misses out in the middle then. This is the thing now, isn't it? Because you brought Mowat in to technically replace Oran.
Yeah.
Not like for like, but
yeah.
But Scowen, so many balls he cleaned up at the weekend and got
Scowen and James.
Scowen and James.
So started.
Mowat misses out for you at the weekend.
Mowat misses out. Yeah.
Superb. Back 4 same as usual.
Super Angus. He could go on his bike if he wanted as a bit of a warm up.
He certainly could do. Barnsley win then. Score prediction for yourself?
3-1 Barnsley.
3-1 Barnsley. But are we having to score any time for the charity bet at the weekend then?
For the charity bet.
And it's going to be for Angus McDonald's charity as well, I reckon.
Let's back Angus McDonald's
Anytime.
charity. Epilepsy Research UK. Let's go Barnsley to win.
Bradshaw anytime?
Bradshaw anytime. That sounds good to me.
But if he's not playing?
If he's not playing, I think... See, sometimes I think, it's set pieces of that, do we go longer odds? Do we back,
Robbo.
I was going to say, do we back a Robbo for a quarter or... Robbo? Yeah.
Robbo anytime. Barnsley to win.
Your forecast?
Weekend. My forecast for the weekend. I think Barnsley will win, and I think they'll win 2-0 at the weekend.
Oh, Clean sheet.
Clean sheet, yep.
Why not?
Definitely not. And before you get voting for your player of the month on barnsleyfc.co.uk, you can win a signed ball by the said player as well. And also get your tickets online or in the box office for QPR away on Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
Keep supporting the Reds. Keep supporting things like this on Barnsley Player. We're trying to bring you as much coverage as we can. For only 10p a day, it's quite the bargain, I'd say.
And if you've got anything that you'd like to feature, then get in contact via Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and let us know what you'd like from this from the podcast. But for now, best of luck to all the Reds tomorrow. Whether you're walking, whether you're going on a club coach, whether you're going on a supporters coach, maybe you're cycling like Angus MacDonald.
Certainly might be. All the best. We're across all the social media, as Carlos just said. You find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, find us on Twitter as well, at BFC Reds Report, and on Facebook at Chris and Carlos Reds Report. Good luck at Derby County tomorrow. If you go in, enjoy the game. To all those walking to Derby County,
keep going, lads.
Keep going, because you're doing it for a great cause in men's mental health. All the best, and we'll see you next week on the Reds Report.